Hello, and welcome to the Mind Renovation Nation show. I am your host, Nathan Bush, and this show is brought to you by Red Maples, your go-to source for institutional-style property management of small multifamily rentals. Again, each show we share with you real-life lessons from our real estate experience. We invite industry experts, innovators, influencers to explore the challenges and opportunities facing small multifamily real estate investors. We designed this show to answer the questions you have about researching your market, setting up effective management systems, and maximizing returns. If you want more of these types of resources regularly, you can head on over to www.nathanbushmba.com/subscribe or subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll pump out more content and information just for you. You can also check out the links and all of the resources that I have inside of the tags for the show. And I encourage you along today to submit your questions. If you have questions about how this or how that or how any of that stuff happened, go ahead and throw that in the comments. One other thing I'd like to do is encourage you, if you are new to the show and you're watching for the first time, please go ahead and announce yourself in the comments so I know who you are and who's watching the show. I can reach out and have individual conversations with you if I know you, if you're already in my network. I love to get feedback and learn more about what I can do. Today's show, we are talking about, though, breaking free. Breaking free. This was my original plan to leave and escape the 9-to-5. And I think it's critical that you understand that the concept here is breaking free. We're going to talk all about breaking free. So when I was younger, I used to play football, for those of you that don't know. And I played line. I played on the offensive line. And one of the challenges you have when you play on the offensive line is you're literally colliding and hitting on every single down. And sometimes you're pulled and you got to run around the outside and you block for people that are either running the ball or people who are going to pass the ball. And so that's your job, is to block for those people. The challenge is that you're not the one being tackled. You're not the one running for the end zone. You're not the one with the glory. You're not the one that's setting the records. You're literally blocking for somebody else. And sometimes I feel that way when we're talking about our 9-to-5 job. How many of you guys in the audience right now feel that you're blocking for somebody else and you're not free? Today's show is all about that, to get to the point in the feeling of being free. And I truly want you guys to be free, because that feeling of free is unlike anything else. And I have to thank our first sponsor of the show today, Red Maples, your go-to source for institutional-style property management of small multifamily rentals. If you'd like an assessment of your real estate portfolio, head on over to my main sponsor, www.red-maples.com/assessment, and you can start your assessment of your rental portfolio there. Today's show, I'm going to help you understand my plan. I had a 3-prong approach to my plan, my original plan, to escape the 9-to-5. Blocking for somebody else. My original plan had 3 key pillars. These 3 pillars were a financial growth plan. Do you have a financial growth plan in place? I'm going to show you my original financial growth plan, the nuts, the bolts, the things that are in place that were put in place in order to help me escape my 9-to-5. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the team that you have to have in place if this is what you're going to do. If you are really honestly sincere about not blocking for others and kind of controlling your own destiny and writing your own ticket and building your own self-worth and all these things, you don't do that alone. You do that with a team of other people who help block with you. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about processes, because you can't escape and you can't truly be free unless you have all 3 of these components in place: a financial growth plan, a team, and your processes. And so I'm going to cover that information with you on today's show. Before I get into all of that, let's take a second and talk about freedom. What is freedom? Well, if you go to the dictionary, you can find the word freedom means the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. When you're blocking for somebody else, let me ask you a question. Can you act, speak, or think the way you want? The question's going to hang out there for a second, because if you can't act, think, or speak the way you want, you're not truly free. And so the goal of today's show is to show you what I originally planned in order to break free and escape that 9 to 5. So when you talk about freedom, think about a child. A child choosing what games they want to play or what book they want to read. For adults, I want you to think about maybe choosing a career path or a profession or an investment or where you live or what you want to buy. How free are you? Look, the reason I brought up the concept of a child first is because freedom doesn't come without boundaries. If you're truly going to be free and have unlimited freedom in your life, it doesn't exist. What does exist is freedom within the confines of the boundaries that are set. And so I can't go through an entire show and explain to you guys freedom today if I didn't discuss the concept of there's got to be some boundaries in place. Those boundaries oftentimes start with our core values. If you can think to what are some of your core values, and you never deviate from those core values. If you can think to yourself, okay, now I have my core values. I know what I'm going to excel or exceed at, but I do have scheduled appointments and meetings and things that I have to go to because these are part of the boundaries of the systems that I'm setting up to be free. So I'm the one that can choose when I'm available for those appointments. Okay, I want you guys to truly understand what it means to actually be free. See, there's a word called discipline in our society, and nobody likes the word discipline. However, if you're going to be free, you first have to be somebody of discipline, of character. Otherwise, all of the wealth that you make and you earn over your lifetime will be stored up and handed over to somebody who is. So if you want to achieve freedom, you need to understand the concept of boundaries and discipline. Now, I also want you to understand there's another set of boundaries that are in place. When you're trying to achieve freedom and escape your 9 to 5, one of the things you have to be intimately aware of is that there are laws and you have specific rights. And that's okay. These laws are boundaries that are put in society to protect other people from being injured. One of the major boundaries that you have in your freedom is you can soar, but if your soaring is going to injure somebody else, there's probably a law or a rule in place that you're going to need support people in place to help you ensure that you're achieving or maximizing this freedom. How many of you guys want to be free online right now? Go ahead and throw into the comments right now the word freedom. If you have the availability to type into the comments, go ahead and type the word freedom into the comments so I know that you guys are connecting and this is resonating with you. I'd like you guys to reflect over your life right now and just take a second before we get into the concept of my plan for how I planned to escape my 9 to 5. I want you to put into your thought process into the world. I want you to think about right now as we go through the show. I want you to reflect on how free are you? Are there other people controlling your actions, when you can speak, what you should speak, what you can think? How do you get to this point of freedom in your life? Before I get into those 3 things that I did, those 3 pillars that I have in place, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my sponsor, BBC Global Services. This is outsourcing that helps people like you focus on your superpowers. Simple and on your terms with no term limits. Get a free consultation by heading over to bbcglobalservices.com. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you Red Maples utilizes BBC Global Services for our virtual assistants. I've utilized BBC Global Services in order to help me produce this program and this show. And so I highly encourage you, if you need a virtual assistant, if you're looking for outsourced labor, head on over to www.bbcglobalservices.com. All right. So if you're going to escape your 9 to 5, I'm assuming that this title is attractive to you because you have a job already. And if you have a job, I have to ask the first question, is your job flexible with your time? It is very difficult if you've chosen a profession where your job is not flexible with your time and you are required on that 9 to 5 to dedicate 100% of that time during your 9 to 5 to your job. If you're looking to escape your 9 to 5, might it be wise to first set yourself up in an environment where you have a little bit of flexibility and freedom already? See, if every single second of your day is planned out and programmed for somebody else to block for somebody else, there's no opportunity for you to design and create and build for yourself. So the first thing I would tell you before I even lay out this plan on what my original plan was to escape my 9 to 5 was that I had to have a flexible employer that allowed the opportunity for me to do the things that I laid out in my plan. So what was this financial growth plan? What steps did I lay out in my financial growth plan that said, this is what I need to do in order to achieve my 9 to 5? Well, one of the things I wrote down was I need to have a year of my income in savings. A year of my income in savings. Most people are struggling to get a couple months of their income in savings. I had to have a year of my income in savings. The next thing, 2 passive investments. 2 passive investments that are paying on a regular basis. I don't care if it's $20 a month or you're receiving $3,000 a month or $10,000 a month. 2 passive investments set up. The reason it was important to have 2 passive investments set up, and this is so critical in anybody's financial plan if you're looking to escape a 9 to 5, the reason it was so critical to have 2 passive investments set up is to understand the process it went to save the money and also set up the investments. 3 sources of active income, meaning 3 clients that were paying me to continue ongoing work. It was critical that I had 3 clients set up. I was doing some research and study for another program that I do for one of my clients and one of my strategic growth facilitation clients. And in that research I was doing in order to set up their show, I found out the worst number in business. Do you know what the worst number in business is? If you're thinking about numbers and KPIs and escaping your 9 to 5 and all this, there's metrics and numbers involved in all this. You know what the worst number is in business? I know most of you would probably think it's 0, but it's not. 0 is fine. If I have 0 clients to serve, no big deal. I'm not doing any work. However, 1 is the worst number in all of business. Think about a 1 of anything in your business. 1 advertising source. Think about 1 client. Think about $1. 1 of anything adds a level of responsibility. And if you don't have the support to support just 1 by adding 2, 3, 4, and 5, if you don't have it more than 1, you're in a position where when 1 goes away, your livelihood goes away. When 1 advertising channel goes away, your livelihood goes away. When 1 employee goes away, your livelihood goes away. Your sanity goes away. 1 is the worst number in any business. And so I required myself to have 3 sources of active income, 3 clients that I could serve. When you're looking at your financial growth plan, the thing that I set up was one of the growth stones that I had set up was 1 revenue stream from business that's reoccurring with 200 customers actively paying that amount. Now, I told you this was a growth plan of mine. Some of these things I'm still working towards in my plan, but it was my original plan to escape my 9 to 5. And lastly, your side income has to exceed your full-time income by 2 times. That means these other endeavors that you're working on out here have to exceed that full-time job's revenue by 2 times, or you're in a financial pinch. Now, can you see how if you had a year's worth of income saved, 2 passive investments, 3 alternative active sources of income, 1 revenue stream with 200 customers in it, and side income that exceeds 2 times the rent from these endeavors, can you see how this might give you the ability and the stability to be able to escape a 9 to 5? But that doesn't give us freedom. That doesn't give us freedom. What gives us freedom? That's the real question. So this was my original plan. This was my financial growth plan. Now, what do I need to do in order to continue along this process of setting up freedom? Because I want to break free. First and foremost, I got to have a team. I got to have a team. If you are trying to break free of your 9 to 5 and you don't have a team, I am saddened to think where you're going to end up. Number one, you got to have a financial planner. Have a great financial planner. Have somebody that can steer your wealth transfers back into your pocket. Things that you're unknowingly or unnecessarily transferring away with your income, you want to make sure that you're not giving that money to large institutions that doesn't deserve it from planning properly. Make sure you have a good insurance agent. You've got to make sure that you can take care of all of the risks that are associated with operating independently. You got to have a good CPA or accountant. I am not a tax strategist. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not an insurance agent, and I am not an accountant. I highly recommend that you have these people on your team to help you work through your financial growth plan. And then a lawyer. It's always wise to have a lawyer that you can go to in the event that something is coming your way. Whenever you get sick, you go to the doctor. If you have a legal sickness, you got to have an attorney on hand. A payroll company. Look, this is critical because you eventually want to be able to pay yourself an ongoing salary so you can operate your personal finances. So many times I see people commingle or convolute their business finances versus their personal finances, and this messes them up. Look, I'm talking about trying to do this the correct way without injuring yourself, with putting yourself into a healthy situation so you can take care of all your personal bills and do all those things. We don't just quit cold turkey and stop blocking for other people in order to achieve that freedom for yourself. No. See, you got to have these things in place like a payroll company so you can pay yourself a consistent salary and you know what that's going to be so that you can set up your lifestyle. See, managing your finances is a critical piece to all of this. And lastly, you got to have an internal support team. I don't believe in the solopreneur. I don't believe in the lone wolf. I don't believe in doing anything in life alone. If it's meant to be, it's not up to me. It's up to us. And so you got to have an internal team of support administration. You got to have operations. You got to have accounting. And you got to have people that are at least setting appointments for you. If you don't have these systems and processes in place, these people on your team, you're not truly free. See, these things are what help you structure your life in such a way that you can break free from the requirements of the 9 to 5. Because even the business owner that goes out on his own, throws it all behind, is still blocking for others until they're properly set up that they can break free. And with that said, I'd like to thank second sponsor in the show, third sponsor actually in the show today, Web Insurance. So Web Insurance is the third sponsor in the show, and they can review your current coverages and make sure that you have the correct policies in place at the most affordable prices. And what their clients love about them is every year they proactively shop your insurance to ensure you're truly with the most affordable carriers at the most appropriate coverages. From contractors to real estate investors, let Web Insurance be your guide. Thank you guys for bearing with me as I talk about my sponsors, because these sponsors are people that literally help me make sure that I broke free from my 9 to 5. And processes. The third pillar, the third piece, if you're going to break free, isn't just your financial growth plan, isn't just your team, but you've got to have some critical processes in place inside of your business in order to set yourself up for freedom. Now, these processes are going to be spoken about in a generic term, but they have to be applicable to the way that you do business. Let me start off with the first one. You got to have marketing systems built. How do I get my names on a list? Names on a list. You got to have a big list. How do you get the names onto that list? Are you using Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, webinars, workshops, speaking engagements, lead magnets, giveaways, whatever it is, you've got to get names onto a list. That's critical. That's point number one. That's your marketing systems. And how are you doing that? You got to have sales systems built. So you got to be able to sell, and you got to have sales systems built. I need sales systems so I can sell and put into my revenue streams additional clients. See, because if one of the 3 clients goes away, I'm down to 2. I have to have that third client to replace that situation so I have freedom in the systems. And so you got to have sales systems built into your business to onboard new customers. So you got to have, personally, I had strategic growth facilitation clients. That's clients that I worked with to help them grow their business. I had in my plan to have inner circle clients, courses, books, property management clients, general sponsor clients, workshop ticket clients. All of these different ways were in my original plan to escape my 9-to-5. You got to have operation systems built. So fulfillment systems, facilitation systems, content generation systems. For me, curriculum design systems, video production systems. These were all the systems that I needed in place to be able to escape and break free from that 9-to-5. And lastly, the last system you want to have in place is your accounting system. And my accounting systems were these. I had to have a way to collect money, track sales, and I got to have paying help. So to pay other people, pay bills, pay things that need to be done. These are all of the different systems that I required to have in place in order in my initial plan to be able to break free from that 9-to-5. So with that said, Earl Nightingale, he's an American radio speaker and author, or was anyways, dealing with the subjects of human character and development. He had this to say: people with goals succeed because they know where they're going. Have you sat down and wrote out your plan to escape your 9-to-5? Have you written down your plan to break free? See, I think the real goal that you have for yourself is freedom. And if the real goal you have for yourself is freedom and you're having difficulty achieving that, maybe, just maybe, it's because you don't have a growth plan. You put these plans and actions into place. You answer these questions that were in this presentation today. You come out the other side with the opportunity to break free. Now, does that mean that I'm broken free today? Sometimes, and sometimes not. The fulfillment of this plan is an ongoing endeavor. It's the resources, it's the opportunities, and it's the goals that I had in place in order to help me break free. What are you doing to break free? Do you have a plan in place? What are you doing to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve so that you're not stuck blocking for others all the time? Now, this isn't contradiction to my concept of being a really good number 2. For those of you that have been following me for any length of time, I often talk about and still believe that I'm a really good number 2 for anybody in any organization. Why is that? That's because I'm always here to serve. I'm always here to help you grow. If you have a plan or you have an idea or you have a thought process, I love helping people bring those things to fruition. Before I speak or before I go on stage at any group or organization, I always talk to the organizing manager, the one that's hiring me to come in and speak, and I ask them, what are their goals? What would they like me to achieve? How would they like their audience moved? It's critical that I understand how to serve them best, how to serve the buyer best. And in my case of being a really good number 2, doesn't matter if you're growing your own opportunity or growing somebody else's opportunity, you can still break free if you have a plan in place for freedom. See, I don't want anybody telling me when I need to open my calendar, when I need to be available, when I can take vacation, what clothes my family can buy, what home I can live in. I don't want any of that. I don't want anybody telling me what I can say and what I can't say and what the opportunity is and what the opportunity isn't for me. The aspect of if it's meant to be, it's up to me. only lives in the concept and confines and the boundaries of your goal setting. Everything else requires proper planning, a team, and the right systems to get you there. I hope this was helpful for you guys. It took me a long time in my life to come up with a plan on what I was doing to break free. However, I do have to take us back to our sponsor, which is one of the companies that is near and dear to my heart. One of my partners, business partners, and broker, Dave Howe, runs Red Maples. And here's what we do. Here's what I help you do through the Red Maples program. Okay? If you're a real estate investor and you're looking to grow your rental portfolio, the first thing we have to do is review that portfolio. We have to understand what it is so we can write an assessment of what those management fees are. I've often been heard asking others, would you rather overpay or underpay for management services? I think the answer is obvious. You'd rather pay exactly what you're supposed to in order to be the most profitable that you can while still making sure your management company has the resources in place to take care of your portfolio. So we have to review that portfolio. What we're assessing is your profitability, your leverage, and your liquidity ratios. We want to understand what is your gross margin, what's your leverage, and what your liquidity ratios look like after management fees are in place. Then we provide you with a plan of action on the direction you should take with your real estate investing based upon your business performance. So we help you with that stuff. I help you with that stuff. Then we help you determine, should you sell assets, should you refinance, should you add additional property? We do all of that. We pull rental comps. If you have over 15 units, we run those ratios for you. We put together a budget. All of that stuff is done. If you head over to www.red-maples.com/assessment, I'll be happy to complete one of those assessments with you. And so, Renovation Nation, that brings us to the end of another episode. I'm Nathan Bush, your guide on this journey of real estate business growth. Remember, just like plants need the right air, soil, and care, our minds need the right environments to build a life of purpose, passion, and growth. Don't forget to get your citizenship to Mind Renovation Nation. Follow us. Subscribe to my email list. So head over to www.nathanbushmba.com/subscribe. Then subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then share the show so that others can join us every Friday at noon. If you do that, you get your citizenship to Mind Renovation Nation. Join me next time, though, for more insights, inspiration, and a little course of the nation-building spirit that drives us to create a community united by shared values, purpose, and a commitment to leaving a lasting legacy. Until then, keep building, keep growing, and let's lead more than 25,000 souls to a life of values-based investing. Our journey on Mind Renovation Nation, we often talk about personal growth, ethical leadership, and making impactful choices. Values-based investing is an extension of that philosophy. It's about being a steward not only of our finances, but of our values and vision for the future. Signing off from the heart of St. Louis, stay blessed, stay inspired, and remember, every day is a chance to renovate your nation. Thanks, guys.